1 Trinket Mage, 1 Treasure Mage, a Hex Parasite, 3 Stonehorn Dignitaries, and 3 Metamorphs. And then he has a Batter Skull, a Spine of Ishash, an Ichor Wellspring, Michael Synth Spring, some Ratchet Bombs and Day of Judgments, 4 Spheres, and a main deck Graph Digger's Cage, which is, would be very valuable.
Mage.
Yeah, he can Trinket Mage for it, and obviously does a lot to
It'd be
fight.
quite the bullet against Nyapod, actually.
And against Delver as well, because you shut off Lingering Soul, Snapcaster Mage.
Sure.
A variety of stuff. And then he has a sideboard full of like some more bullets to Trinket / Treasure Mage for as appropriate, some Lice Finales, and Curse of Exhaustion plus the Knowledge Pool.
So one of the things which, Sean Collins will have to watch out for is, the unresolved Birthing Pod problem. Birthing Pod unresolved is just a really good threat. He doesn't have too many ways to interact with it once it's resolved. He has this Graph Digger's Cage, which actually is an excellent way to interact with it, but outside of that, he doesn't have too many ways to get it off the table, or really ways to stop it from coming down.
Yep. And he can definitely break out of, like Stonehorn plus Venser Lock, he can break out of pretty easily with the assistance of a Birthing Pod. Like he has an Archon of Justice, for example, that breaks that up.
Right.
He can also just wear down Venser with like attacks and Inferno Titan and stuff like that. So this is, I believe, a matchup where having the full suite of the absolutely dedicated Birthing Pod decks, like in contrast to Kibler's build, for example, it's actually a big asset because you want to have you're going to have time to engineer all this stuff, and the Chain of Bullets can basically break up anything, any lock that Collins tries to generate.
Yeah, a resolved Birthing Pod, just really bad for Collins. I think,
This is also really bad for Collins. A turn 2 Thalia.
He's playing next to no removal spells, so Thalia's really going to just make his whole deck cost more.
Is that a Miser's? Oh, no,
he's running 3 Thalias.
James
no Birthing Pod,
Christensen,
good news for Sean
stage,
Collins.
please.
Really, no turn 3 play is surprising out of Nicholas.
He has a Sphere of the Suns, which will help go over the top.
Right, for 3. So, Nicholas Lassen still not with too many plays. This time he has one, though. He can't actually cast the Birthing Pod.
I believe that is that it? Yeah, that's a singleton
That is
corruptor.
a singleton corruptor. Hitting the Seer of the Suns, notable. I remember Sean will still actually have to take care of Nicholas's creatures, but the corruptor being gone leaves only Acidic Slime as a main deck way for him to combat Graph Digger's Cage. Has to read Mycosynth Wellspring.
Yeah, for those of you, when this comes into play or destroys, he gets to search his deck for a land. Basic.
This alongside of Ichor Wellspring was used a decent amount in block constructed. Tezzeret was probably the control deck of choice, and the best engine they had with that, you used those in conjunction with Phyrexia's Core. Hasn't really seen much play outside of block, but with Tezzeret, like I said, there aren't always that many great artifacts.
Right.
So this sort of thing does end up making the cut.
It's also nice to just like fill in your curve with some value generating stuff as you're trying to get to Tezzeret, because you just want a board of artifacts to enable the second and third powers.
Right. An excellent card to make a 5/5. When they kill it, you coop another card. So.
Yeah.
Nicholas kind of has Sean on 2 different. The Ancient Corruptor, not that great for attacking right here. We'll be putting him on 2 different clocks. But still with a grip full of spells.
Yep. And there's a pod, so things are going to get pretty ugly for Sean here, I think.
Cast the pod on 4 due to
Thalia.
Due to Thalia. And he's going to pay 2 more life, so he's taking 4. Corruptor, his options here are Hero of Bladehold, Solemn Simulacrum, Huntmaster of the Fells, and Phyrexian Metamorph.
I assume we're going to see a Solemn here because he's not under any particular rush to get anything started here. He's not under any pressure.
Yeah, he's probably worried about some sort of sweeper. That's why you wouldn't want to get the Hero. But the fact that the pod is resolved, I think I'd also like Solemn here.
So
deciding between the 2. I mean, none of the choices are that bad. All of them are. Even Huntmaster.
It's hard to go too wrong. Yeah.
Even Huntmaster, which I think is the weakest choice, I think is still a very good one.
All right,
he's going to go with Huntmaster.
Okay.
And now one of the cooler plays which Nyapod does have is, remember, if it actually pods into Huntmaster just on their turn, it can actually pass the turn and immediately flip a Huntmaster.
Yep.
Which is a neat trick for it. And there we go. There's the 2 cards.
So yeah, a big part of Nicholas's like selection process just has to be hedging against getting swept, and then also hedging against his something having to do with his birthing pod.
Right.
Like what are the considerations if he has a way to destroy a birthing pod?
But we're here, and the worry is a real one. Day of Judgment.
Right.
So once again, I think that's why we grabbed the Solum there.
Right. Yeah. It's your best hedge against Sean's like most realistic play.
Well, you have to sometimes, and I think this is one of the things I've been talking about a bit. You have to, against lots of players, you have to assume that they're, even no matter what kind of player you think you're playing against, there's usually a reason they kept the hand they kept it. So you look at Sean's hand. He has cast Spear of the Suns and Mycosynth's Wellspring, and that's it. Well, you have to ask, why did he keep this hand?
There's a Solemn.
It's got to have something.
That might have been the reason he didn't pod for it. Yep, I believe he had it.
So Solemn, he can pod the Solemn into Archon of Justice, Acidic Slime, or Vorapede. I'm pretty sure the answer is Vorapede here.
Yep. Birthing Pod is not a slow card to resolve.
No.
How much time do you think gets added to the average game where a Birthing Pod is cast early?
Well, there's usually will bring about 4 to 5 shuffles with it in the course of a game, so a few minutes at least.
So are you getting in a 6 Slime and Stone rating here? Yep.
And yeah, he is.
Richard Cook. Jeff
This does
Ron,
leave him,
Oscar
if
Jones,
Sean, say, were to
signed
drop
up for
a
Standard
Graf
Winterbox
Digger's Cage
41.
right now, it does leave
That
Nicholas
means
with
you
no outs
probably
to that
wanna
in his
play it.
deck.
You should come up to
So a
the
draw of
public
Trinket
event
Mage
stage,
or
please.
Graf Digger's Cage would be very strong for Sean. Nicholas Lassen has no reason to play around that. He doesn't really know that Sean's a Tezzeret deck yet.
I mean, the Wellspring is a bit of a tip-off. You very rarely see it.
That's true. You should expect a Tezzeret at this point. And most Tezzeret decks
Whoa.
are Xyz's Core. Has to read that. That was the engine we were talking about. In Black constructed one of the better card advantage engines, actually.
Yep.
He's going to, I believe, cast his namesake card, or he possibly has a Metamorph, which he might use to slime back the Birthing Pod.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what he's going to do.
Yep, that's pretty awesome.
Actually, just paying for the Acidic Slime, which I like. There's no reason to really hurt yourself.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the reasons I really would have wanted to get Vorapede there. I feel like a board right now with a Vorapede on it would be much stronger.
Yeah. Well, the concern is, I guess, if Lassen's sort of wandering around in the dark, he doesn't know what 6 mana could potentially have in store for him.
Could we say a Consecrated Sphinx, which would be very bad news? Vorapede can't even attack through that.
Yeah.
So maybe, yeah, or Grave Titan, really. There's a lot of things.
Like, if Metamorph wasn't something that he was thinking about, it's like, well, you might as well just get value along the way.
And he just has another pod. And he's going to deal 2 to himself.
No, he's paying this time.
He paid half of it.
Pairings for two-headed giant. Round 3 are going up.
Getting Inferno Titan.
You're a two-headed giant. Pairings
Sean's
for
going to need
round
another
3
answer.
are
If he can
going
answer the
up.
Inferno Titan, we'll give him a little more time. The only other card left, Elesh Norn's at 7. That's it for Lassen.
So, yeah.
Which in this board state, I don't even think you get the Elesh Norn. Strangle Rootgeist. Strangle Rootgeist at 3 gets him Blade Splicer. And then the Strangle Rootgeist back.
I've never seen someone actually just kind of weather the storm of tutor targets, but Sean might be able to actually do this.
A lot of times in control matchups, you can see it come down to that, but he's only kind of weathering it right now. Looks actually like...
Right, yeah, he needs at least one more Day of Judgment to have a shot at it, but...
Right, he'd be dead on the next attack, unless he has something here. And he does have Day of Judgment. Which we'll bring back Strangle Rootgeist.
Still kind of keeping his head above the water.
Yep. So Geist can hit him to 8. Geist can turn into Blade Splicer is really the only real option at 3 for him. He also has Fiend Hunter available, but I can't see him doing that. And just draws the Wormcoil Engine. All in on.
So yeah, Wormcoil gives him obviously very good insurance against a follow-up Day of Judgment.
Sean running out of outs here. He plays Wormcoil Engines of his own. he could still try to assemble a Stonehorn lock.
Yep.
If he drops a Stonehorn here and then just drops the Venser next turn, I think Lassen is cold to that. So he's going to draw, and I think maybe he wants to try to draw into half of that. Not a great out, but an existent one. And there's the Stonehorn.
Yep.
All right, so step 1 complete.
Yep. So I assume we're going to see Lassen convert his Stranglegeist into a Fiend Hunter?
That would be correct, yeah.
Because once your opponent plays Stonehorn, it's not
only
it's not in there for no reason, you know?
And the problem is that play's available to him at many different points.
Right.
Or he may just have the Fiend Hunter. And he does.
Yep.
All right. And that should be a lethal swing, I believe. No, well, he can't.
Well, he still has to chill out this turn.
Remember, not many kill spells out of Sean Collins. So there actually are 2 Fiend Hunters in Lassen's deck. So
do you convert your bird into a Stranglegeist as just insurance against Wrath here?
I think I like that more than the second Birthing Pod, but either way, I feel like this is a very positive.
Yeah, he's in a commanding spot here.
Yeah, Bird's not doing much on his own. I think I agree that I'd make that switch. He could just draw more Stonehorn Dignitaries. If he can just continue to draw Stonehorn Dignitaries and then eventually get a Venser online with one of them, that should be good enough. 2 Sphere of the Suns.
If you're
Not
in
really
draft
doing much
number
for him.
29 and draft 30, please come up to the side of bench stage. Draft
I believe his last card's a
29
land.
and draft
I don't know
30.
what the tank is on that.
Pairings for
Any
the
idea what
Modern
he's on?
Challenge are going up.
I don't think he has anything.
Well, he has a Nexus that can trump off the Worm Coil engine, right?
Right, well, he's in a pod. Yeah, that's fair.
Additionally, much clearer two-headed giant pairings have been posted. Once again, two-headed giant pairings that are much easier to understand.
So at this
have
point,
been posted.
I think Nicholas
Please find
probably
your
winning
seats.
this game. Nicholas, the interesting part, he still hasn't seen the Grafdigger's Cage, so he may not actually board in. Well, he probably will still board in his second Acidic Slime, for example.
Judge candidate.
He does have Ancient Grudges. This seems like a Tezzeret deck. Though we haven't seen Tezzeret, Grafdigger's Cage, much more suspect now. Or not able to just cold him out of the game.
Right. So Nexus is going to go in front.
Right, we'll jump in front of the worm.
We'll core it up.
And we'll core the Nexus. Bringing himself still to a lower life total. So Sean, can win this game if he can draw Dignitary into Dignitary into
Justin
Venser?
Sloan for draft 29. Additionally,
Not asking for too much.
Greg
No, just
Jasinski,
3 draws. 3 draws.
Jasinski, and Patrick
He only
Self,
plays
who's
3
come
dignitaries,
to
so that would be the other
upper
2.
stage for draft number 30, once again, Greg Gadzinski and Patrick Self for draft number 30.
And yeah, one poison counter. He's not actually. Wait, is he coring? There shouldn't be a counter on that if it's getting cored.
No, he cored away the Wellspring.
Oh, the Wellspring. Okay.
Lassen trying to consider if he wants to do anything else with the second pod here.
That's not a very at a very healthy life total. Yeah, really, Stonehorn Lock is the only thing that he has to worry about.
Yeah, so he's content just to sit here for now.
Draw for Collins, and no game.
Yep.
All right, so Nicholas Lassen up 1-0 over Sean Collins.
Yeah, Birthing Pod just represents a big problem for Sean because he can't win particularly quick, and he's trying to assemble this Voltron of stuff, and Birthing Pod makes it very easy for Lassen to just break stuff up at critical junctures.
Right. So Yeah, Sean has his answer. He has one Grafter's Cage, really his only answers we just figured out. One Trinket Mage for it. Didn't find either of them, and I think Birthing Pod just took the game over, as it's wont to do.
So we're looking at the sideboard here. We certainly want, if we're on Colin's side of things here, we definitely want a second Grafter's Cage. No question about it.
Definitely.
3 copies of Life's Finale is also excellent here, as it could just, Day Dungeon's already quite good against Lassen, and then you can also just break up the pieces.
Yeah, you can take all their 5s or something, or
all their artifact
you
removal.
You may take all their either the top of their curve. You can really make their birthing. You can make their birthing pods very poor cards.
Right. I assume we're not going to see Curse of Exhaustion Knowledge Pool come in, just because it's too easy for Lassen to break up.
Right, and also if there's a birthing pod in play, Curse of Exhaustion actually not a very strong card.
Right. Yeah. So
you probably stay off that combo. On Lassen's side, we'll probably see not too much. He has 1 Acidic Slime, 2 Ancient Grudges. I think the Wellsprings. And there's enough going on that he knows he's on an artifact deck. I think we'll see the artifact removal. Outside of that, I don't see too many things that he would sideboard. Maybe one of the Fiend Hunters. Probably doesn't need 2 of them, but I don't really see too many other things that he really has to get rid of.
Right. Yeah, I think you just want the artifact removal.
Yeah.
Call it a day. So, how does Collins proceed with the game if he's actually facing down like a live birthing pod? Like, does he have any path that he can take to fight against that, or is it just is defeat just inevitable from that spot, or is there a way that he can kind of grind through it?
You mean if there's a live birthing pod online? I think Life's Finale is one of his best options now for that. For the most part, no. He could Spine Core through it. If he's assembled Spine of Ishsaw and Phyrexis Core, Spine's just a 1-of in his deck. But he can buy time.
He has a Treasure Mage to go get it too.
He can buy time with things like Batterskull, and that engine can actually grind down every large creature that Lassen could play. Not a great plan. I think he's better off fighting over the pod in the first place. But I think it's possible.
So what's he going to cut out here? I mean, he's got a Batterskull that he probably doesn't want it, a Hex Parasite that's not really doing anything for him.
Yeah, the Hex Parasite, I think, clearly not doing anything for him. The Phyrexian Metamorphs are just okay.
Yeah.
And the Ratchet Bombs, I think, are just okay, but you have to really be careful about how many artifacts you're cutting in this sort of deck. I guess he actually seems to have an overabundance of artifacts to the point... Tezzeret probably doesn't want to be run in deck with many fewer than 14 artifacts around that number.
He can't really shave out too many of... You just can't shave out that many artifacts, so we'll have
I think he has some to spare, though. His count on artifacts in this deck is 22. So I think he's... Or sorry, 18. I miscounted the Day of Judgments. So with 18, I think he's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe he can cut 3, 4 maybe, but no more after that. The thing is, if you cut it, Tezzeret, what will happen is Tezzeret will sometimes start missing. And while that's pretty bad, it's actually not the worst. There are turns when you have a Liliana in play, you don't activate it. I mean, you don't want that, but you don't lose because of it. So it's not that bad.
Right. He doesn't really have any other choice. Also, unless he's going to cut Stonehorn Venser.
Draft number 31.
I wouldn't touch that. I think it's actually probably his go-to way to win the game.
Side of it stage, draft number 31.
Yeah, actually, that seems like his most common path to victory is to just Stonehorn lock his opponent. Asking then how he wins. He could Spine Core him after that.
Yeah.
Or,
once the attack step is locked out, you can kind of win pretty arbitrarily from there.
Yeah.
Although Lassen actually has a fair number of ways to break up the lock. Like he has, Fiend Hunter's the big one.
He has Fiend Hunter. He has an Archon of Justice.
Yeah.
Though to be fair, Archon of Justice, you have to have a way to kill it for it to break up the lock. So
right, sort of presupposes that you have Birthing Pod.
Right.
I don't know if we're mulliganing here or if we're just taking a little while in the shuffle.
Both players chatting a little bit. So we're in round 5 here. I know looks like the Grand Prix is just wrapped up. We should have a top 8 soon out of there.
Yep.
For us, we have still 5. We're in round 5, so 5 rounds. This one, then 4 more rounds.
Got to top 8.
Cut to top 8. We believe that pretty much, it should be, like I said before, a smaller 9, so we should our top 8 should start to take form pretty close to the end of round 7.
So yeah, hopefully slightly better start for Collins. Although it wasn't like Collins' draw was poor that game. It was just Birthing Pod invalidated.
But that's where the strength of a dedicated Birthing Pod deck. Birthing Pod will do that, which is really excellent.
So Collins is going back for 6. Lassen's keeping his 7. Yeah, like Kibler's deck, for example, from yesterday would have very much struggled to have gotten out of Stonehorn plus Fencer.
Right.
It's pretty incidental for Lassen to be able to break out of that.
Yeah, I don't think Kibler's deck, which is,
He had a Fiend Hunter. He had a Singleton Fiend Hunter.
He's a Singleton Fiend Hunter. For those who aren't familiar, Kibler, who haven't been following us, Kibler's deck is a Naya pod deck, but it is only 2 Birthing Pods. It plays much more like any red-green aggro deck, splashing for 2 Birthing Pods. Birthing Pod, just with Strandgroup Geist in itself, can be like an extra aggro engine, which I think is more how he's using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, both players still resolving mulligans, I believe.
Lassen's gonna go ahead and keep his.
All right. So he starts out. Collins on the play, and just leading off on lands, leading over Nicholas, and he will have a turn 1 mana creature, Avacyn's Pilgrim. So all 3 of his colors on the first turn.
Sphere of the Suns for Collins.
So it gives Lassen an opportunity, and you'd say it gives Lassen an opportunity to resolve Birthing Pod. Remember, Collins, and as is true with most Tezzeret decks, not really playing very many counter spells.
Yep.
The biggest downside, I think, to the heavy artifacts plan is it really doesn't give you much chance for counter magic.
There's a Thalia from Lassen.
Attention Magic players, if you signed up for Legacy Winterbox number 3...
Because of lack removal, Thalia is still pretty much a time walk. And yep, Sean no plays. Possibly with a Tezzeret in his hand.
A number of 4s, Day of Judgment.
Day of Judgment.
He has a lot of 4s.
And Lassen hits in for 3. Sean drops to 16. Third land off Lassen, Sunpearl Grove, making Blade Splicer. Large commitment to the board. He has to watch out for land Day of Judgment off Collins now. Collins on his hand can see has a Tezzeret. I don't think he has the Day. Feels like the speed, the cadence with which he's playing makes me think that he is kind of intimidated by this board.
Right. He's already under the gun, so I'd be stunned if he has Day of Judgment.
Lassen's representing 7 damage here. Sean Collins at 16. Lassen can make 1 more play. It's probably 2 turns worth of swings. The hard part is since Tezzeret costs 5, you can make a Sphere of Suns into a 5/5, but then your Tezzeret will die. So he's opting to go. He's going Chimeric Mass on 4.
Yep.
Chimeric Mass, I believe, probably a 1/of as a Trinket Mage target.
Yep, and it's only in the sideboard too, so he brought it in for this matchup.
Interesting. Chimeric Mass is one of those cards. I remember when it was first spoiled, a lot of people were really excited to play it with Trinket Mage. I think it pretty much fell out of favor here. We see Gavoni Township out of Lassen.
I assume he's going to just attack and jam his...
Attack and Township?
Right, because Sean didn't represent Day... you can presume he doesn't have Day of Judgment, and this is a great way to continue to apply pressure, like represent lethal next turn, without exposing yourself further to Day of Judgment.
Lassen will do that. I mean, when you have 4 creatures in play, actually a Gavoni Township activation is probably stronger than most of the spells you have in your hand, and also just a better play against control. So all 4 creatures getting a 1/1 counter, so brings in a 4/4 Golem, a 2/2 Blade Splicer, a 3/2 Talia, and a 2/2 Pilgrim, dropping Sean Collins to 7.
Completed it before the clock ran out. I have in my hand the final
Next turn will be lethal.
I will announce the top
So
8.
we're basically at Day of Judgment or bust right here.
Once standings have been posted, you have 5 minutes to confirm them and bring any discrepancies or
And
issues.
Collins really under the gun here. He needs a Day of Judgment right now.
Yep.
At 8th place, with 37, or we'll start with 1.
Currently
sorry.
announcing the top 8.
First place with 41 points, Tom Martell.
Here, we'll recap this as soon as it's done. You may be able to hear it
Second
over
place with
over the
39
microphones,
points,
though.
Michael Hetrick. Third place with 39 points, Brian Olvera.
And Iker Wellspring there, digging for some answer.
Fourth place with 39 points, David Gleicher. Fifth place with 39 points, Michael Peterson. Sixth place with 39 points,
right.
James Cooper. Seventh place with 38 points, Shahar Shenhar.
Gonna send everyone, and that's a
eighth place with
concession.
37
And
points,
that's a
cutting
game
into
for
the top
Lassen.
8 by 4% in the first tiebreaker with 37 points, Marcel Angelo Zafra.
So we just have our top 8 just been
Judges,
announced.
if you could post those final standings,
Top 8
as
just
I
announced.
said, once they've been up,
So Jackie Lee,
you
who
have
we had
5
in
minutes
before,
to
ended up
report any
losing
discrepancies
just in
or
time a
issues.
red-green
The
mirror to
scorekeeper
Michael
before they
Hetrick,
become
otherwise known
final.
as Ship It Holla on Moto.
Yep.
So
top 8 players.
so
if you could
he ended up
collect
making the
near
top 8.
the main stage.
Other names that we had Tom Martell in top 8, Shahar Shenhar
Take a
in
look at
top
the
8.
standings first if you want. We do have.
I know I'm
features
gonna
of